not be recharged, and we won't get any water in our rivers also. So this zero discharge policy or zero discharge mindset should be somehow tackled with in urban scenario. And this is not only a local problem, it's a global problem. We are all over the rivers are facing the same problem. We lift the water for the irrigation, for industrial and for domestic use from the dam. Then whatever we are discharging in the city limit is only wastewater, either industrial or domestic. And then again, it goes to the next dam, and there methane gas production factories are developed. Because this wastewater is, as Mihir told in his presentation, in Pune city only, there is lot of methane gas generated downstream to the Pune city. So we have to change this water cycle in urban scenario. We are lifting fresh water and we are discharging wastewater. This is what the current status of water bodies in India. Every water body is facing lots of load of solid waste and domestic waste. This solid waste is coming from different drains, which are actually natural water drains, but they are forced to the wastewater drains now as the settlement in catchment is changing. And also there are many issues in urban areas where you don't have land for the settlements, and there are so many issues that sewage septic tank you cannot drain repeatedly. There are issues of getting to the septic tank is difficult in some areas where very, very close settlements are there. So they just broke the septic tank, and the whatever septic sludge is there, it is forced to flow in the natural drain. So due to these drains, we are getting so much of solid waste in our river. And these drains are actually natural water drains, storm water drains, we can't stop them. What are the shortfalls of Ganga Action Plan first? It has been seen that we have invested 15,000 crore in GAP 1. But the result is that we don't have Ganga clean after that. So state-of-art technologies were there. So many technologies we brought from abroad also. I'm not against any technology. Technologies are very good. The basic thing is that we haven't thought that whether they are suitable for Indian conditions or not. Infrastructure we developed a lot. We invested on infrastructure, but we haven't looked at the process. What process this technology are going to take? What processes are there, and whether they are suitable for our conditions. In villages also we are having state-of-art STPs on Ganga bank. But these STPs we can't run because we don't have that much of electricity to give them. The focus is on production and not on waste treatment. So we have to see whether these technologies are adaptable in our condition. As you can see, in unpolluted upstream area of Ganga, the BOD is 2, and when it flows down to residential area, the BOD reaches up to, it's more than 50 milligram per liter. So most of the solid sewage is coming into the Ganga river. What is required actual for restoration of any water body? As I called it, it's a gear. Government's environmental accountability and responsibility. Here, we have such a good constitution that everything is in detail in our constitution. The Article 48A describes that we have a right of good water and good air and good environment. This is our right. But Article 51AG explains us our duty towards these water bodies. So it's our duty to clean these water bodies, though we have right to access a good water. So we required a gear wheel so that this action can be taken fast forward and it is sustainable. If these three wheels combine together and they work in a cooperation, then only we will get the sustainability in water resource management. The first wheel is of people, groups, NGOs and volunteers. They work at local level. They know the needs of the local. So their work should give some ideas to the technologists or to the designers, that is what is their need is. If these ideas can be transferred to the technologies and designer, then accordingly local level people's need can be catered off. And from these technologies and designers, the government should take feedback to develop a policy. And this should be addressed in the policy. So the sustainability of restoration can be seen in this scenario. As I told you, whatever infrastructure we are having in wastewater treatment is state of art. We are investing so much on infrastructure. We are investing so much of infrastructure, but we are not looking at the process. It should be a process, not an asset. What is required? It's ecological health project and not infrastructure project. Restoration of rivers and lake. Revitalization of self-purification capacity. Every water body is having self-purification capacity, but it is lost due to overloading of pollution. So we just want to give some area where this water body can help herself to get purified. Conversion of single species. Now we can see that so many water bodies, surface water bodies are clogged with water hyacinth. So it's a single species intelligence. Nature is indicating that there is something wrong. One single species is developing. We want to convert it into multi-species intelligence so that biodiversity of the water body is increased and we will get the self-purification capacity sustainable. Maximum use of nature's own capital is required. Rather than constructing or infrastructure or developing infrastructure, we should take help from the nature to purify the things. And local action means decentralized action is needed for the global climate change. We have such a good policies and acts and rules there in India. They are framed very well, and with so much of input they are framed that if we just follow them, we will get some solution. But the thing is that though we are having these policies and acts on place, the execution is a problem. There is a gap between these policies and execution. So we need to have some thread between this. What is actual eco-technologies? I'm not against, as I told you, I am not against any technology. But that technology should be adaptable and well transferred to the local levels. Eco-technology is a technology where we minimize space footprint, carbon footprint, and energy footprint, which is the need of our nation. We can't spend more energy, we can't have more carbon emissions from the treatment, and we can't use so much of space also, where space is a very much concern in urban scenario. So one such type of technology we have developed is Green Bridge technology. It's in situ. We are using it in drain or in river only. During the flow only the water gets treated. And it is a 100% natural process. We are emphasizing on reducing the energy footprint. It's truly sustainable. There is no such maintenance, hectic maintenance, heavy maintenance for this treatment system. We have installed at many places in India, in Rajasthan. We are working in Punjab. We have done it in Allahabad also for 5 drains reaching to Ganga. We have already restored. So the system which is adaptable and workable in Indian condition is the present need. Here, the basic thing that we use microorganisms, we use biological energy to treat the water. And as the water body converts from hypertrophic to oligotrophic, automatically you get self-purification capacity increase. These are some of the photographs of some of the installations we have done. We generally use this technology to get the biodiversity back in the river or water body, so that one complete food chain can be established. And as the food chain gets established, automatically sustainability is there. Once the food chain is established in the river, sustainability is there. In Medikuntha Lake, we have a restore in Hyderabad. We found that after restoration of that lake, one small village was using water from the drinking water, water as a drinking water resource from the well which was inside the lake. And after restoring the lake, we found that there was no any incidence of abdominal intolerance or any other patient in the vicinity of that village. 5,000 population was that village is having. And there was no any single patient during those restoration work. The village has to go to to admit to the hospital. So this kind of results we get if we purify the surface water body, automatically groundwater also gets purified. This is another example of Ahar river. It's a 150 MLD river flowing in the Udaipur. Udaipur city, though is a tourist destination, doesn't have any STP till date. It's 6 lakh population is there, and there is no STP in Udaipur city. We have installed this technology in 2010, and till date we are getting good results. And recently one Australian agency has carried out some work on micropollutants in the river, in the Ahar river, and they found that downstream to the Green Bridge, the micropollutants level, micropollutants means whatever pollutants from cosmetics, soaps and antibiotics we are using. They have analyzed 35 micropollutants, and they found that downstream to the Green Bridge, the micropollutant level has drastically decreased. So space footprint is 0, carbon footprint less than 0, ecotoxicity, whatever we working is on ecotoxicity of the water. We are not, though COD, BOD are the parameter, we are not emphasizing on those parameters, because if BOD is 2, any technology, means if you install RO or any sophisticated technology, you get BOD 2 or less than 1 also. But that water is not a livable water. There is no life after, if you getting 2 BOD, you can't say that there is a life in water. So you should reduce the ecotoxicity of the water. You should see that the life in water comes back. That is what the restoration is. And due to this restoration, biological restoration, 11,500 kg oxygen has been liberated in the river without any mechanical aeration. All these things is done by biological restoration. So if you go to see the economics has been seen, in a year you require 3 crores of rupees to get the mechanical aeration in the river of same capacity. And with the biological aeration, we have done it with free of cost, means the cost is actually 0. We have done this for the Ganga drains also. You can see the results for Ganga river drain. And we are doing this project for 600 MLD Buddha Nala in Ludhiana. This is actually, I will take 1 minute because this is more important. See, whatever evaluation parameters we are looking at, we are not looking at COD, BOD only. We are looking at saprophic to aerobic biodiversity of the water body, native species recurrence. Many people say that 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there were fish, we were swimming here, there were crocodile. This type of restoration is needed. These species should come back to the river. Then we can say that the river is restored. Space footprint we should look at. We should not invest on space because we can't leave the whole river and treat it and again put it in the same thing. So space footprint is needed. Economic efficiency, of course, that is needed because we are treating waste. We are not producing anything, we are treating waste. Complexity of food chain. As I told you, if the complexity of food chain is developed, self-sustainability of the system is there and self-purification capacity then automatically increases. We should look at the carbon footprint, nitrogen balance, because our dams are now becoming methane gas factory. So we should concentrate on nitrogen concentration. So many agriculture runoffs are there. We are using pesticide like anything. In Punjab, where we are working, we have seen that due to groundwater contamination, the uranium is there in next generations here. So this is due to contamination or nitrogen contamination or other things. So we should look at the nitrogen balance also. And community ownership of the project. This is the most important and crucial point. Community ownership of the project. The community should feel that I am getting something out of it. It's my own project. If the ownership is there, our green bridges are maintained by the local communities only. So when the community ownership is there, they are getting good fish crop. If they are getting good water for the agriculture,